Hello to everyone celebrating Nowrouz across the United States and around the world. Nowrouz Mubarak. And once again, we'll be celebrating Nowrouz at the White House as well. In a few weeks, we'll bring out our own hafsin. There will be sabzi polo with fish, maybe some naan birinji. We'll welcome our Iranian American friends from across the United States, including patriotic Iranian Americans who serve here at the White House. The great poet Feridun Mushiri once wrote, "Open the windows, for the kind breeze is celebrating the birthday of the flowers, and spring on each and every branch next to each leaf has lit candles." Every year as president, I've taken this opportunity, the hope of spring, to speak directly to the people of Iran about how we might open a new window and begin a new relationship between our countries. Now, for the first time in decades, there's a chance for a different future. Over the years, you've heard me say that the United States was prepared to engage with Iran in a spirit of mutual interest and mutual respect. Well, that's exactly what we did. In the last few years, our diplomats and nuclear scientists sat down together and negotiated face to face. And last summer, along with our international partners, we reached the historic deal on Iran's nuclear program. 2 months ago, Iran fulfilled key commitments under that deal. Iran has now rolled back key parts of its nuclear program and agreed to verification measures to assure the world that its nuclear program is and will remain for peaceful purposes. In return, the international community lifted certain sanctions on Iran, and Iran gained access to money that had been frozen overseas. At the same time, we recognize Iran's right to peaceful nuclear energy, consistent with Iran's nuclear obligations. It may take time for you, the Iranian people, to feel the full benefits of the lifting of these sanctions in your daily lives, but the benefits are undeniable. Iran now has the opportunity to begin reintegrating itself with the global economy. That means more trade and investment, which will mean more jobs, including for young Iranians who dream of pursuing their careers and making their mark on the world. It will mean more access to cutting-edge technologies, including information technologies that can help Iranian startups. It will mean more opportunities for Iranians to sell your exports, including textiles and agricultural goods, to the world. And I know that Americans are eager to buy more of your beautiful Persian carpets, caviar, pistachios, and saffron. More tourists will visit historic sites like Shiraz, Tabriz, and Isfahan, and spend their money in your shops and restaurants. Iranians, including students, will have more opportunities to travel and study abroad. The nuclear deal was never intended to resolve all the disputes between our two nations, and the United States continues to have profound differences with the Iranian government. But even as our two governments continue to have serious disagreements, the fact that we are now talking to each other on a regular basis for the first time in decades gives us an opportunity, a window, to resolve other issues. As we do, I firmly believe that we can continue to expand the connections between the American and Iranian people. This week, I'm making a historic visit to Cuba. For decades, our two governments were locked in conflict. Not long ago, my visit to Havana would have been unthinkable. This week, I'll focus on how we can build more trade and ties between our two peoples. My visit will be a reminder that even after decades of mistrust, it is possible for old adversaries to start down a new path. Open the windows, for the kind breeze is celebrating the birthday of the flowers. And spring, on each and every branch next to each leaf, has lit candles. As you and your families welcome the new spring this Nowrouz, I wish you a happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year, and I hope that the friendship and ties between the American and Iranian people will continue to grow. Thank you, and Nowrouzatan Piruz.
I wish a beautiful and blessed Nowrouz to the millions of people around the world who are celebrating the arrival of spring. The history of Nowrouz is rooted in Iran, where for millennia a proud nation has overcome great challenges by the strength of its culture and the resilience of its people. Today, the Iranian people face another challenge: rulers who serve themselves instead of serving the people. 25 centuries ago, Darius the Great asked God to protect Iran from 3 dangers: hostile armies, drought, and falsehood. Today, the Iranian regime's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, represents all 3. First, the RIGC is not Iranian in name or deed. It is a hostile army that brutalizes and steals from the Iranian people to fund terrorism abroad. Since 2012, the RIGC has spent more than 16 billion of Iran's wealth to prop up the Assad regime and support militants and terrorists in Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. Meanwhile, the average Iranian family is 15% poorer today than it was 10 years ago, and nearly 30% of Iran's youth are unemployed. Ordinary Iranians struggle economically and find it difficult to celebrate holidays like Nowrouz. Second, the RIGC's corruption and mismanagement have exacerbated the effects of an ongoing drought and created an ecological crisis. Unregulated dam construction by its companies like Khatam al-Anbiya has dried rivers and lakes and helped create unprecedented dust storms that threaten Iranians' jobs and lives. Third, deceit has become official state policy. The RIGC employs propaganda and censorship to hide the fact that the Iranian regime plunders Iran's wealth and abuses its people. To hide the truth, Iran's rulers suppress their own citizens' rights to free assembly, access to information, and equal opportunity. Despite the oppression they face, Iranians are fighting to reclaim their rights. They long for springtime of hope, and the United States stands with the Iranian people in their aspirations to connect to the wider world and have a responsible and accountable government that truly serves their nation's interests. For this reason, the Department of Treasury today is issuing guidance reaffirming America's support for the free flow of information to the citizens of Iran. We also pledge to continue holding the RIGC and the Iranian regime accountable for conducting cyber attacks abroad and for suppressing Iranian citizens who are protesting the oppression of their government at home. On behalf of the American people, may light prevail over darkness in this new year, and may the Iranian people soon enjoy a new day of peace, prosperity, and joy. Nowrouz Piruz.